Hi friends and companions along this path of spiritual practice. Everybody who has never practiced Zen Buddhist meditation nonetheless know this Zen Buddhist koan, this question. You know the sound of two hands clapping. What is the sound of one hand clapping? This is a famous Zen koan asked by the 18th century Zen teacher, Zen master Hakuin. He begins with what you and I know, which is the clapping, the sound of duality at work. The left hand and the right hand, these two clapping together. But he asks us to reach for non-duality. What is the sound of non-duality? Non-duality literally means not two. That the left hand and the right hand are not entirely separate from one another. But we have to be careful not to think that not two, therefore, means one and the same. In fact, in Zen Buddhism, it has its own way of describing non-duality. Not two and not one. That the left hand and the right hand are not one and the same. They are different from each other, and yet they function together in a way that is not about separation. They actually intimately work together such that they constitute each other's identity. Without one, there is not the other. There are easy forms of non-duality, which is simply another name for bipolarity, right? Tall and short, rich and poor. And these are not just metaphysical or intellectual concepts. They affect us emotionally, they affect us psychologically. Some of us think that we're too short. Some of us think that we're not rich enough. And so these bipolarities are not just metaphysics. They shape our understanding of the world. Or think about that other duality called pure and impure. In the race relations in the United States, many of us are familiar with the one-drop rule. That if we have even one drop of African American blood, that makes us somehow impure compared to the purity of whiteness. Non-duality does not get rid of duality if it means just some sameness. If you think about it, it's clever, isn't it? Non-duality, if it was opposed to duality, then you end up with yet another duality of the non-dual and the dual. Non-duality, therefore, is about how we do duality. How do we do one of the most difficult dualities, like good and evil, that has been the source of wars waged throughout human history? How do we do this duality of good and evil that leads to yet another difficult duality called self and other? You know, the police body cameras, we think that somehow if we can get raw sensory data, then we will know whether the other did something right or wrong compared to just the subjectivity of my self's opinion. Raw sensory data doesn't capture raw sensory data. It also captures our own karmic dispositions and propensities, how our minds and eyes and ears interpret and see what we perceive to be. In fact, what is there on the camera footage is not what happened. What is there is nothing other than a glimpse into our own minds and hearts. Meditation looks into this polarity, this duality called self and other. As I've introduced to some of us, there is a loving kindness meditation that I would ask us to continue to do to help us to figure out how to do this duality of self and other. Think about the people that you love, your friends, your partners, your children, your family. And then think about those people who are neutral, who don't entangle us emotionally. And then think about that most difficult category of others who trigger us, who create anxiety and worry and fear and enmity. And our meditation covers each of those three categories as we pause, as we ground ourselves with both feet on the ground, and as we focus in our breathing. And then when we are ready to send to our beloveds our intention that they be safe from all harm and danger, that they be free from fear, that they know peace and well-being. And then we move to the mail delivery person, the cashier, the neutral people that we encounter on a daily basis, with the same intention. And then when ready, to bring to our imagination the person who challenges us. But nonetheless, we send to that person the intention that they be safe from harm and danger, free from fear, that they might know peace and well-being. This meditation practice helps us how to negotiate this duality called self and other. As we do that meditation, I want to conclude with one more suggestion. That as we simply experience whatever is happening in our body, in our emotions, even in our thoughts, to identify it, to register the intensity of that experience, and then to note the duration. Identity, intensity, and duration. That as we're sending our intention, what do we notice? Oh, we can identify what it does to our heartbeat. What is the intensity? Well, on a scale of 1 to 5, it's pretty intense. It's about a 4 right now. And now it's about a 2. Identity, intensity, and then to just accompany the duration of whatever may be happening in our heart. This is a helpful means to stay in our meditative intention of sending loving kindness. More to come, my friends, as we practice with non-duality of how we do duality that is skillful, wise, and compassionate. And so we continue with our spiritual practice.